Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well done.
Play ball.
Thank you. God bless football.
Stu's covered in deodorant stains. Yeah, it's like he put his deodorant on over his shirt.
We've all been there.
No, I know we've all been there, but it's usually like the one spot right by the hip.
Are we sure it sound like a powdered donut or something like that?
Deodorant or powdered donut? Next on the LeBatard Show.
You left out cocaine.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. Not with those billboards on those buses, though.
I know. Craving cocaine.
Chris, your flashlight's on.
Nothing makes you feel older.
Dude, they need to stop making it so accessible.
I know.
Mike
bullshit.
does that all the time, though.
I don't. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's not an old person thing.
No, it is.
It's not. It's not an old person thing.
No, this is an iPhone thing now.
Right.
It
Exactly.
has become an iPhone
if it's
thing.
just
At
like-
one point, it was
if
an
it's-
old person thing.
Right. If I can just like accidentally press my leg against my phone and all of a sudden my flashlight is on, it's not an old person thing. It happens all the time.
You're not the greatest ally.
Tony, it's never happened to you?
No, it happens to me all the
Right. It happened.
It happens to me all the
It
time.
happens to
It's-
everyone all
but
the
I
time.
say it to
happened
myself,
Jess.
I'm like, oh, man.
She's very young. Never happens to Jess.
I'm certain it happens.
I'm
to
going to
Jess.
call her
It
and see if
happens
it
twice
happens
a
to
week.
her.
doesn't happen.
I'm calling her.
Put
No,
it on the
she's very
poll.
young.
Does the iPhone light thing happen to you?
Not as young as you think she is.
No,
wow.
she's-
Oh, wow.
No, it
There's
doesn't
like
happen to me.
there's like a subtle beef between Tony. It's not
Seif.
even
Yeah.
so
Call him
subtle.
Jess.
Yeah, not that subtle, really.
Make sure to tell her that she's young on the front
Hey,
end.
Jess, you're on the air. We're discussing a difference between old and young people, and you're young. So have you ever...
Not that young, though.
She's
yeah,
very
you're
young.
not that young, Tony says.
Wow.
But have you ever had the thing happen where all of a sudden your flashlight on your phone is accidentally on?
It's happened maybe once or twice.
Okay, well, that
Once or
makes us
twice.
feel
It
better.
happens to me once or twice a day.
Yeah.
Not a regular occurrence. Okay.
And
Thank you for joining
she's
us.
very young.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, bye.
If you say something happens to you once or twice, it happened a lot.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
if
a great point.
It's
That's
like
a great point.
if a cop stops you because you're weaving on the road and he asks how much you've had to drink and you say one or two beers.
This sounds way too specific.
No, just as a theoretical example.
Of course.
Yeah, he knows.
Right,
he knows you haven't had
seen
one
that
or
movie
two
before,
beers.
Greg?
Hello,
Right.
officer.
Many of you had.
Yeah, theoretically.
Hey, officer.
Maybe had two.
Two tall boys. Two tall boys.
One or two. Yeah,
Two
right.
tall boys.
I think that's within the legal limit.
Yeah. So Greg Cote's covering a massive Dolphins game this Christmas. The national spotlight, the NFL ripping Christmas away from the NBA.
Yep.
Unfairly so. The Dolphins caught a break in the AFC.
I must say, we did an awful job of covering the Dolphins yesterday.
We did. I mean, it was
Really,
the World
just a
Cup final
terrible
happened
job.
after
We
it.
Talked it for like a good 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, normally it dominates the Monday
Yeah.
show. I mean,
You know
I
what?
mean, afford us the occasional World Cup final Monday. It only happens once every couple of years.
no, listen, I did. I was fine with it. I'm just saying we did a horrible job in covering the Dolphins yesterday. It was a big loss to Buffalo.
Fair.
They're currently a playoff team, and they have some big games coming up, and we didn't really address it. I'm just pointing it out. That's
Fair.
all.
We'll
I
get to all
understand.
your thoughts in a second.
Okay.
I wanted. I was
Well,
thinking on the
Greg's
way
thoughts
in.
more important.
I want to be transparent with the audience. Today is our final day in these here studios in 2022.
Thank God.
So I was thinking, what if we did like where we're at, the state of the union for the South Florida sports teams.
Oh, okay, good for the teams. I thought you
Yeah.
meant personally.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I also have
White
something.
blood cell count was way low yesterday.
Was it really?
Was
Come
it?
back to me later on that.
Are you okay?
I'm a little concerned.
Really?
A little concerned. I'll report back.
How does one generate white blood cells?
So I recently had the flu vaccine, so my doctor is assuming that might have played a hand in it, or it's something far more chronic.
Look at the group of people you're asking. I figured you would be the one to know.
Well, I
mean,
figured
maybe Mike, but it's certainly not me, Greg, Roy, or Chris.
You
I
didn't
mean,
pay attention in science class when you were
No.
a kid?
Once one gets the news, you have a low white blood cell count. I just sort of figure what the remedy is.
It was low enough that I had to come back. Vitamins, and
you
maybe
love a remedy.
maybe generally taking it easier.
Rest, sleep.
You don't want to go to the doctors after the World Cup final. I'll tell you that right now. They drew my blood and it was 30% Miller Lite. I was like, there's at least 1.2 carbs in there.
Wait, this was a follow-up appointment, correct?
Yeah, it was a follow-up
So
because
the doctor's like, Mike, you're worse than you were when I saw you the first time.
I was 4 pounds heavier. I'm like, I think it's this new medication that I'm taking. And she's like, that was 3 weeks ago. You should not be putting on 4 pounds of weight.
Basic medication. It's
Steroid?
definitely not the sports grill.
I fluctuate wildly.
Wings
And
are
I'm
good.
like, you're getting to me on a Monday
Howard.
afternoon. You got to get to me on a Wednesday after I hadn't eaten on Monday or Tuesday. I only eat one meal on Monday or Tuesday to kind of.
Your elaborate dieting strategy is eat all weekend and don't eat on Monday and Tuesday.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. It's holiday season.
I got to be honest with you. That's weird.
I fluctuate like a madman.
Yeah.
So because of that, dressing up for formal events is a bit of a mare for me because I don't feel fat. I think I carry my weight all right. It's in the hips, so you don't really
tall.
notice.
Yeah.
I'm a tall man. But there's sometimes I put in my suit. I was like, at what point in my life did I ever fit in this comfortably? And holiday season, now that we're coming out of the pandemic, you're doing more formal events. You have to try on your suits to see where you're at. None of them fit. So I had to go to the store and I had to buy 2 fuits. You know what I'm talking about?
Austin Burke.
I had to
fat suits.
I had to buy 2 fuits,
Wow.
and I'm not happy about it. Tailoring was very embarrassing because I have a very odd body, and so I bought a foot last week, and I have to wear the foot tomorrow, and I'm very hopeful that the foot still fits the way that it did last week because I fluctuate so crazy.
I'm similarly scared because I have Taylor. I got them from Indochino, former show sponsor, and they're they're specifically tailored to my dimensions. I haven't tried the suit on in a while. I'm a little concerned heading into putting on this suit tomorrow.
How long ago did you do it?
Well, I mean, these dimensions that I have are probably 3 years old. So, but I don't.
Dangerous game.
But I don't like my weight has basically stayed the same over the intervening period.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful. But I might do the old suck in the stomach to try and get the pant.
I'm
pant
going
button.
like we're flying to New York, so if there's ever a city I can find a suit that fits me without a high degree of tailoring and a
That would
short
be
pinch.
it. Yeah.
If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So I'm hopeful that I don't have to do that, but it's a suck. It's a suck having to put on a new an old suit thinking that you're still the man you used to be because you're not.
Moving up a shirt size to me is more of a mental struggle than a pant size. Like when I went from 34 to 36, that didn't hurt my ego that much.
Shirt size, I rationalize. Oh, the signs, the times are changing.
Yeah.
This is in fashion now.
No, for me, especially once you graduate into X. So I've always thought
geez.
like that I can be an L.
Yeah.
But they're increasingly I am less an L and more
To be
an
fair,
XL.
you're the
but
biggest L I've ever seen.
Yeah. I
damn.
had an L phase in high school and I made my way up to the XL and it was a sad day.
Yeah.
And now I'm reaching the point where it's like
You ain't going back.
going to a two.
No, there's
that-
no
that-
going back.
The saddest jump is from the XL to the 2XL.
Yeah,
Because
been there.
XL, you're not fat.
Yeah.
2XL, it's hard to make the argument that you're not fat.
Yeah,
Right.
so World Cup jersey shopping was an interesting experience.
Those
for
are
me.
not flattering with the chest.
That's where we
Soccer
upsized.
jerseys, the chest, man.
Your boy graduated to double XL.
Greg, I love the youngsters because they'll arrive at a point where you and I arrived at probably a decade ago where you just stop giving a shit. Like, you don't care. The suit doesn't fit. Who cares? I'm putting it on anyway. It'll be tight for a little bit.
Exactly.
And that's it. I don't care how I look. I don't
my
care about
suits fit
suits.
so poorly.
I ain't getting them tailored. I mean, nothing.
Listen, when they're talking
the
about
suits I have are the suits that I have.
There's
That's
no
it.
surviving. I can't get the zipper up.
Put
That's
that
how
on the
bad
pole.
they fit.
Okay,
Oh,
my idea of a tailored suit is to pick a jacket off the rack, try it on. If it looks okay in the mirror, sold. I'm out the door. If a guy comes at me with a tape measure, I don't need that. I just
got
go
no
by the
time for that.
eyeball.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
I don't care what my inseam is. I try on the pants. If they look good, if they don't reach the floor, but they cover the top of my shoe, they fit. That's it.
but the pants where just like a bunch of fabric is hanging over the top of your shoe.
Who cares?
It's
Tapered.
No, it's awful.
Yeah.
I hate how that looks.
Yeah.
Get taller. I mean,
Okay.
Continuing our Dolphins Bills
He uses the
coverage.
eye
Right
test.
about
What's
that,
wrong with that?
Right,
I
the
mean,
Eye test?
Yeah, the
Yes.
eye test on a suit.
No, for
Yeah.
me, loose hanging fabric at the bottom of a suit is hideous looking.
It's awful.
You got to leave
And-
room to grow. It's like when Mom bought me dungarees when I was 4 years old.
Oh, dungarees.
They
Oh,
came down to the floor
Take me
because they
back,
would fit
Jack.
me when I was 6.
Exactly.
Like heck.
Yeah.
Jason Taylor, am I right?
Hey.
Yes. Taylor Swift as well.
Maria.
Do we have that Josh Allen sound? I want to play this because our good friend Kyle Brandt gave Josh Allen yet another opportunity to dunk all over Dolphin fan Chris Whittingham. This is phenomenal. And Chris, salute to you. I think all of us are.
You made it, man.
Yeah, I think all of us are a little jealous at how much this clip resonated because it was such a bullshit clip.
Oh,
It
man.
was an asinine take.
I've been thinking all night of what take I can have that Kyle Brandt will ask Josh Allen about next week. That's all I've been thinking about.
All right, so this is courtesy Kyle Brandt's basement. This clip of Kyle Brandt asking Josh Allen about a clip that went a little viral, courtesy of our show.
There's a take out there, and I'm sure you've heard it, that with the Bills quarterback that they have and those receivers and everything, they should be in a dome. And the Bills should be better off in a dome. There's even a guy named Chris on a popular radio show who says the NFL should mandate that the Bills go indoors, and that's the future for them, and enough of this BS with the weather. Are those people right?
No, I think that's a fairly soft take. I did see that clip. It's football, man. It's football weather. We love what we do, and to kind of have some of these snow games. Like, again, it's cold for us. It's cold for them. There's snow for us. There's snow for them. You want to talk about there's a lot of other advantages in some other stadiums that I'm not going to name that I think we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But again, that's the nature of the business. That's what we do, and you have to try to find, ways to help yourself win football games.
So, Chris Whittingham, I told you that would be Josh Allen's response. I had no idea that your take would explode the way it's exploded because we have had that conversation about Aaron Rodgers many times in the past. It also dawned on me, as he said, Chris Cote, you could take credit for this take.
Yes.
You really could.
Do you think when he saw that clip, as he said, he was also nude in the shower? Like you probably were when you see his clips?
Playing Wordle?
That's the visual I
playing
have for
Wordle,
that.
and then
Playing
it
Wordle.
comes through in the group. How does that stuff get sent to Josh Allen? Is it just like someone in the group chat, like Josh Allen's group chat, is like, look at this softy?
Yeah, right. He's probably a normal human who scrolls, and the algorithm probably shows up on his feed.
How does it feel, though? How does it feel to have people talking about your take?
I don't think
This
great.
was
No,
a
it
Zion.
feels great.
This
It
is
feels
1,000%
great.
a Zion situation for Witty.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, we'll let Woody speak for himself, but I don't think Bills fans aren't. I mean, I have had good experiences with them, but when you're caught in the middle of that, initially you're like, what did I get myself into? And I think maybe now that you have altitude on it, you find it a little funny, especially after that Josh Allen clip.
It has always been funny from minute one. This has been funny. I have a very healthy relationship, I'd say, with social media, where the second that tweet went out, I put it on mute. And I didn't get any notifications
That
from
doesn't
it.
sound
I'm
like the
the opposite.
healthiest relationship.
Why would you do that? Enjoy your take, man.
check it
For
out.
better,
You
for
should
worse.
actually be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Revel
As a
in it.
journalism major, you
What?
should be embarrassed by the
Embarrassed
fact that
of
you
what?
made the story about yourself.
No, I didn't
lack
make it
of
about myself.
professionalism, going after a team in a city.
I have
who
never
does
made it about
that?
myself.
Yeah.
There's
I just
no
said,
impartiality
I said
there.
the stadium in Buffalo should have a dome. And I don't think.
No, it did not stop there.
Well, I probably
You took away their team.
I took away their team. I said if we must have a team in Buffalo, they should have a dome over their stadium.
Right.
And I do actually. I'd still hold on to that belief even after the pushback that I've gotten. The unpopularity that it was greeted upon in this room.
Totally.
In this room
Totally.
and around the country and from Josh Allen himself. I still think Josh Allen would be better in a dome stadium.
Not for you to
Knock
say.
it off.
Man,
You
he
already
started
answered it.
playing
Yeah.
electric when the
Right.
snow started.
That's fair. But I think that Josh, like, they'd score 35 points a week if they played in a
Your
dome. It'd
job,
be amazing.
your
They do
job,
that anyways.
Yeah, your,
What's my job, Billy?
your job
He
is
had
to
4
report
touchdowns in
what
the snow.
happens, not opine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Imagine if I showed up here every day and I never said an opinion. I just said the Dolphins lost over the weekend, 32-29.
Listeners would be grateful.
You think so?
Now listen, did it sting at all? When I said you were soft, it did not sting, and I understand that. But Josh Allen is now saying you're soft. So
Yeah.
how does that
I think
feel?
that's funny. I really do think that's funny. I also think it's funny.
And
that-
accurate, right?
I also think it's funny. I mean, yeah.
Both can be
newsflash,
true, right?
Newsflash, I am not as tough as Josh Allen. However, he did start the clip by saying it was a soft take. And then, very subtly, or not so subtly, alluded to the fact that it's quite warm in Miami, and so we had to play in those conditions.
Right.
And so he's having a go at the conditions here in Miami, while I'm having a go at Buffalo. So why am I soft and he's not?
Well, he said
he's an
Josh
NFL
Allen
player.
said what he
There's
had
that.
to say. He said what he had to say.
Right,
If he
he's-
says
yes.
we should have a dome.
Imagine if he
all
agreed.
all of Buffalo is upset.
Well,
with
Aaron
him.
Rodgers kind of agreed with us when we first ran it by him a couple of years ago.
He
and-
did.
But I think all of Green Bay, what gave this so much life, I think, is Witty hit on an insecurity by taking their team away too, because there's a classic little town in the big NFL with 32 teams, and if you look at the market sizes, and also they're pretty insecure about that September game down here against Miami because they all blamed the weather, and I do find it funny. It was a bit performative from Chris, but he's kind of holding up a mirror to them, and they don't see their own hypocrisy when they're just dragging him for his take.
Well, hold on a second. Chris Whittingham did not see his own hypocrisy when he actually said it because
That's a
he
fair
enjoys
point.
the Dolphins' home field advantage.
I
He just doesn't
I
like the
winked and I
Bills' home field
smiled.
advantage.
I was like, yeah.
Oh, wink and a
it's
smile.
Our, it's
I
our,
love
it's
that.
It's our
Yeah.
home field
I've
advantage.
actually made takes
bit.
with a wink and a smile. I've done it, like in mid-take, like a little wink, a little
wink?
smile. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
I knew as I was saying, it's like, oh yeah, there's that thing that happened in September, and I was reminded of it many times. As I was reminded of the fact many times that Miami has had more games moved due to weather, namely hurricanes, than Buffalo has. So I can completely understand their argument. However, I do think there are people in that community that want a dome over their stadium, and I think there are members of the Buffalo Bills that want a dome over their stadium.
Wow, I think if you put a vote to the city of Buffalo, they would overwhelmingly say no dome.
Agreed.
I really think they would because look, the ambiance of watching an NFL game in a snowstorm is unlike anything else. It's part of the charm
Greg,
of
didn't
the
you
NFL.
you actively avoided covering that game. You're like, you would rather work on Christmas
No,
than go to
right.
Buffalo.
No.
You gave
Correct.
up seeing
Yes.
your grandchild
No.
on Christmas to avoid
No.
going to Buffalo.
No.
Okay, I'm
no,
not saying I want to
no.
be in that weather. I'm saying to watch it on TV. It's one of the great things about the NFL. The lore of Lambeau Field in the winter and Buffalo in the winter. That's great.
Frozen tundra.
It's not called baseball weather. It's called football,
Football weather. That's
Yep.
right. It's great. It's part of the charm of the NFL.
In Greg's defense, Greg's editor was in a pinch and said he needed Greg to cover Christmas
Right.
Day,
And so
and
I
then
did.
as a
Right.
reward
Billy
said, you know
remembers.
what,
Good
someone
choice.
else can cover that game.
Thank
Greg
you.
didn't ask off of that game.
Right. I explain all that in the Greg Cote Show podcast out now.
Excellent.
But yeah, I mean, you do what you have to do. I choose not to live in the snow. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy watching it on TV.
You know, the Bills should stop jumping through tables. Bills fans. Bills fans need
Bills
to stop
Mafia.
jumping through tables.
Right.
They need
Chris,
to police themselves.
This is sad.
I need these fans to stop. It's reckless.
Bill's
it's
Mafia's
dangerous.
gotten out of hand.
That's not going to do it,
You're
Chris.
so pathetic.
It's not
It's
going
not
to
gonna
do it. No.
I it's not.
appreciate
No,
the
it's
effort,
not.
but it's not going to do
I
it.
did like
Right.
to look to the hard cam though. Let's keep
It's just
it
reckless.
simmering.
And the league, I don't think the league can mandate it. The fans need to police themselves. When
look,
you see a Bills fan jump through, you say, hey, enough. You stand in front of that table before they jump, and you say stop.
You're doing it wrong.
You should take away their alcohol too.
All right,
that might do
and
it.
also
That might
say
do it. That might do
that
it.
guy that cooks on the hood of his car needs to get a grill.
Yeah.
You can
No,
do that.
it's
as
pretty
well.
good.
I want to try one. I want to try one too.
All right, do it.
Guy without a shirt in a snowstorm, you look like an idiot. Put on a shirt. Okay.
This is sad what we're doing.
Seriously.
You're going to get sick.
There's no we here.
You're a cliche. You're a cliche. The guy without the shirt in a snowstorm when everybody else is bundled up. You're not impressing anybody. It's been done before. All you're doing is injuring your health. Put on a shirt. Put on muffins or mittens, whatever the hell they're called.
Muffins.
Yeah, whatever these
Eat
things
a
are
muffin.
called. The big thing on your. I live in South Florida. I don't wear muffins. I don't know what that is.
Muffins.
I
Put
would
them
tell
on.
you of all the
Earmuffs.
foods, though,
Ear
I,
muffins.
I think hot muffins would feel the best in your hands.
You know what? That's what I was thinking when I said that. Yeah, ear muffins.
yeah.
Right.
Ear muffs.
Yeah, ear muffs, muffins, whatever.
Muffins,
Okay.
tomato.
Thank you.
I mean,
Tomato.
The gag.
Greg, plus the Bills have the quarterback for that weather.
Yeah.
They do. For that stadium, that city, that weather.
Right.
They have the quarterback. They have
They
the
do.
guy who can throw it right through the wind. He doesn't care.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers has had a pretty good career playing a quarter of his games in frigid weather.
yeah.
He's done all right.
And the only Super Bowl he won was when he had to go through the road, which I think was primarily good weather situations.
Coincidental.
Greg, try this one on for
Three
size.
domes.
I don't know if it was 3 domes, but
I
it was
think it
certainly
was,
2.
Mike.
Wasn't?
Yeah, I think it was 3.
Last week, Greg, we were talking to Chris Sims, and we thought it'd be great if the NFL alternated Super Bowls. 1 year in good weather domes and like tropical cities, the next year in the frozen tundra.
Oh, my God.
So every other year, you're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl run, by the way, in 2010 was away at Philadelphia,
Okay.
away at Atlanta, away at Chicago, and then the neutral site for the Super Bowl.
All right, so
Where
it's
was
over.
it?
It was two
Overstated.
domes and 2 cold places away.
Yeah, overstated.
Yep.
I mean, was Atlanta the 1 seed that year? Possibly, but it's an overstated take.
I covered the Super Bowl the 1 year they had it in Minneapolis. What a nightmare. I slipped on an icy sidewalk, fell right on my ass walking to a Chinese restaurant. That's my experience from the Minneapolis Super Bowl.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I was okay. You know.
By the way, Buffalo never have a Super Bowl because they don't have a dome of their stadium. Can't play the Super Bowl in February.
I don't
Well,
think
they-
that's the only reason.
They did it in
Well,
New
New
York.
York had one.
No.
New York just had one.
Okay, but that's New York.
New
That's,
York.
It was
that's-
cold that day.
And they're not
it-
gonna get
it
another
was-
one.
I mean,
Buffalo,
Buffalo,
New
Jersey.
York.
Buffalo is not going to get a Super Bowl.
Probably not.
I don't like
No.
that.
Buffalo sauce is overrated.
Greg, after you slipped, did you make
Please
it?
stop.
Put that on the poll, please. Is buffalo sauce
No,
overrated?
I'm not encouraging him.
You know,
The
Greg,
thing is
did you
that, like,
make it-
that is
hold
a
on.
take he happens to believe, though.
Yeah,
Well,
he
they
does.
And it's true.
I get it on the side. I go heavy blue cheese. That's just
Yeah, you
that's
got to
just
have
me.
blue cheese, not ranch.
so I
Yeah.
learned from my time
Jeez.
in Buffalo. Not a look at me,
Horrible
Louis.
take.
But they don't actually do. They don't call them buffalo wings. They just call them wings, and they don't do the buffalo sauce really. They go mild sauce in blue cheese.
Most
Soft.
flavor, right?
They
Yeah.
say that you go mild there. That's the way that you have
Is
a
it,
wing in
isn't
Buffalo.
mild the buffalo sauce?
No. It's a totally different experience.
It's not
for me.
mild
I like a
buffalo
hot
sauce.
wing, and I was excited to have hot wings here, and everybody told me that's not how we do it.
Is it
around
mild
here.
sauce just butter?
Sounds like weak sauce.
Hot
to
sauce
me.
and butter.
Hey, butter.
Hey, butter?
Whenever I hear the word butter, I got to go, hey, butter.
And,
Yeah.
and
Why?
It's no.
It's my nickname for my Michael, my youngest son.
who's not here?
Oh,
Right.
Call your son
I
butter.
understand.
Yeah, it's like a
It's
reflex.
a reflex, yeah.
I hear
Oh,
butter,
right.
I got to
I
go,
can-
hey, butter.
I can give you the quick origins on it. They like ping pong in like 10 years ago was huge in our family. Like iconic matches. We were all very close and competitive. And my brother would fumble the ping pong ball sometimes. And when he was like picking it up, my dad would be like, "Hey, Butterfinger."
And I didn't think it in his head.
And it emerged-
Yusuf.
and it
was a close
evolved into
match.
just, "Hey, butter."
I want to hear more because we love ping pong in our family as well. Did you dominate these games, Greg?
No, all three of us were like
He
really
was the third
close.
best.
Really?
No, Michael Cote was the best. I was second best.
Okay, but we could all beat each other. I mean, we were all close, the
But
three
there was
of
a
us.
clear ranking of Michael first, me second, you
Right.
third.
But what I did was I developed an entire song about Butterfinger. And it drove him to this day. If I start to sing it,
It does.
he gets very
Let's
mad.
hear it.
Yeah, let's
I mean,
let's hear it.
Might as well sing it.
We're here.
Yeah.
Butterfinger, butterfinger, ba ba butterfinger, butterfinger, ba 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 butterfinger, butterfinger, butterfinger. That's usually as far as I get because by that time he's like storming out of the room.
Well, he's serving again, right?
Yeah, and then he Hey, butterfinger.
It's very long.
It can go on.
Just
get
Glenn
to the
Miller's
chorus.
in the mood. That's all it is.
I've enjoyed your
Yes,
tactical
it is.
breakdown
Thank
of
you. That's
Saturday's
a
game.
good call. Good call. It is the great Glenn Miller. He and Dorsey were my dad's favorite big band leaders.
Speaking of Dorsey,
Yeah.
the Dolphins hung with. It seems as though these two teams, when they take on the very same field, the only difference between the two is the weather.
His weather conditions.
Is the
Right.
weather.
Yes.
Which is a good thing for the Dolphins, I feel like.
Well, no, not really.
I'm
Because
just saying because the
they're gonna have
perception
to
of
go-
the Bills
Well, they're
is
gonna
this
play in
great
Buffalo.
team.
They wouldn't be playing in Miami if they play the Bills in the playoffs. So that's not good. Good for
Dolphins
Miami.
could have won that game on Saturday.
Well, no,
Very
they
easily.
You could say that about any loss.
And
No,
look,
no,
it
the
could be
question-
circumstantial that the Bills really turned it on once the snow started, but it's a fact from the game.
It doesn't matter, Mike. The question around the Dolphins was because could they go on the road, cold weather, in a big game against a good team and get it done? And the Dolphins proved to me, at least, that if they have to play Buffalo in the playoffs, they
didn't-
can win that game.
No, hold on. There's
They had a
so-
fourth quarter lead.
Look, with how the results panned out, you can have that moral victory attitude. This was a disastrous road trip. Disaster.
Yes.
You're
You
talking
went-
about two different things.
No,
There's
no,
a 3-game road trip
but
and a
they didn't
game
win
against
single
Buffalo.
They didn't win a single game against playoff competition. They didn't. They got fat
On the road
off the
trip, yeah.
Texans,
Right.
off the Browns. You guys were feeling really good about yourself. You were saying 1-2 will be fine. You didn't go 1-2. You went 0-3.
Trident method didn't work that
No,
great.
you blew
There's
a,
still the stick.
you blew a lead at Buffalo. You kind of fell apart in that game. You had drops all over the place. This is not moral victory central anymore. That's not
it
what the
isn't.
season became.
I agree with you. I think the loss in LA, the Chargers loss, was particularly bad.
That
because
is the one. That's the one that hurts.
San Francisco and Buffalo are both really good teams. LA Chargers you needed to beat. You had to come off that road trip winning 1 out of 3. The reason for me the loss in Buffalo was very hurtful is they rushed for almost 200 yards in that game, 188 yards. And the whole thing was, can we run the ball in inclement weather? They did, and they still lost. And you know, they're so good defensively at home and so bad defensively on the road. When you score 29 points, you have to win a football game in that condition.
Dad, you just said they had to win one of those 3 games. They literally didn't because they're still in the playoffs and they lost those games.
Okay, but
they're what is it, Witty? 70% chance
Yeah,
to make the
530
playoffs?
has him at 71%.
Yeah, but if Jacoby Myers doesn't make a boneheaded play for all time, you're going to be thinking about that differently, and it has nothing to do with the Dolphins' performance. You're going to feel worse about how the Dolphins perform if Jacoby Myers isn't an all-time idiot.
Yeah, but I mean, if they catch the touchdown in the end zone, they win the game. And
Exactly
They drop 2 in a
right.
row.
I think the concern
so-
is that they didn't. They were dropping balls all throughout that game, and these are guys that are going to have to go on the road, it would appear. We'll see what happens in the AFC South and how that shakes out, but the chances are is they're going to have to play in conditions that aren't optimal for this offense.
Well, they did well though. Like they did better than expected in those
They did.
conditions.
That's
I
what
think
I'm saying.
people left
I
that
am
game
encouraged.
thinking that it went a lot better than they expected.
I'm
like,
encouraged
The
by the
talk
running
was the
game.
Dolphins would get blown out of that game, and they didn't get blown out of that game.
No, but they blew a late lead. They were
yeah, but that
dropping the
loss,
ball left
that
and
loss
right.
was more impressive than some of their wins this year have been.
Agreed.
They're going to
Yes.
they're going to need to beat a playoff team in the playoffs.
Right.
They're going to have to beat every team in the playoffs if
Well,
they
no,
want to get
but
to
they're
the
going
Super
to
Bowl.
look. They're afforded to them. They're going to have to go through 3 playoff teams to get to the Super Bowl.
Once you get to the playoffs,
Yeah.
yes, Mike,
They
you have to
haven't
beat
beaten one. They
playoff
haven't beaten
teams.
one
Yes.
since week 3.
and they haven't beaten one since week 3 in a nuclear sun. I think there's reason for
Who
concern.
have they lost to? Look at their schedule. Like, let's do this like college football.
No,
They
but
have
hold on
all
a second.
good losses,
Chris,
right?
I would also tell you
Yeah,
while
but they don't
they're
have good wins outside of week 3.
While they're the 7th seed, okay, I would also tell you this: there is danger all around them. Like, because they have lost 1 game to the Jets, they play the Jets again. They lose that game. They don't have the tiebreaker. They don't have the tiebreaker with the Chargers. They do have it with the Ravens, but the Ravens are going to win their division. Oh no, the Bengals will win
Bengals
that
are winning
division.
it.
The Dolphins can go 2-1
Right.
and make the playoffs. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I don't like Aaron Rodgers strolling into town, too, with a chance to
You
make
have
the
to win that
playoffs.
game.
Those aren't easy games. And
No,
Right.
it's a tough
they,
closing schedule.
they should beat the Packers.
Yeah, chance, though.
Clearly, they should beat the Packers because the Packers aren't a good team this year. And then they have to go through two all right teams, one of which might find itself in the playoffs. With the Bills, not with the Bills, with the Patriots and the Jets. This is a team that hasn't won against a good team since week 3 in conditions that were optimal for them and bad for the opposing team. I think it's fair to say, can this team actually be playoff good when they're not having playoff caliber victories?
I agree with you. And a 3-game losing streak at this time of the year is bad. It's really bad. It has Dolphin fans thinking, here we go again, because the Dolphins tend to start off pretty strong and then go into a little bit of a tailspin. As Dave Barry says on my podcast, the Dolphins are the only team that can start off 10-10 and finish 8-8. They just tend to do this kind of thing. And now...
10-0.
No, he's
No. He the joke was they could start 10-0 and finish 8-8.
Right. What did
That's
I
what
say?
he meant.
I said
10-10. Yeah.
Oh, I meant 10-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stepped on my
Let's
own
dust.
punch
Let's dust off an old friend,
Yeah,
gang.
we need
because
to.
I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of panic here.
He's right.
But there's also a lot of calm. So let's dust off a little game I like to call panic or calm.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Was there imaging for
Let's
this?
dust it off. No, this is a sports bang thing.
With two little
Yeah.
stick figures
Wow.
running back and forth.
Yeah, panic or calm. Yeah.
A lot of dust on it.
I'll
Yeah.
start.
It's been a while.
And I think you're going to know where I'm at on this based off my takes recently. I'm calm.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we got everything in front of us. We control our own destiny. We are in the playoffs currently.
COD.
Got to win to get in, and let's do that. Let's go win.
I'm with you, Chris. I'm pretty calm just because that last performance was really good. I tend to do sort of measuring my favorite teams on the basis of performance, and I think this game that they played against Buffalo was one of the best games that they've played all season, even with some adversity. Like Tua had some bad moments in that game, but
They
I
were
thought on the
assaulted
whole,
by snowballs also.
That's true.
Ice balls.
Should have been more 15-yard penalties. But I feel like if you asked me after the Chargers game or after the 49ers game, I thought there was a lack of performance in those games that was genuinely concerning. Particularly, I mean, the Chargers game, Tua was atrocious in that game. And in the 49ers
And against
game,
the Niners. 2 games in a row, he's bad.
I know, but like the context of the 49ers game is a little different now based off what they've done since. But even still, you go back and watch that game, and Chris Sims mentioned this on God Bless Football. Like he went back and watched it, and it was nothing to do with the defense. There was open throws all over the field. Tua just didn't take them or didn't make them. And so that would be a concern heading into at the Patriots or home with the Jets. They've got good defenses. But I think on the whole, I liked how they played in Buffalo. Even on defensively, they gave up a lot, particularly in the first half. But after halftime, they adjusted pretty well. My concern with them in the overall is defensively. They built this around having Xavier Howard in his prime and Byron Jones, and they really don't have either of those things right now. Because Xavier Howard is not playing well, and Byron Jones is probably going to miss the entire season if you listen to Mike McDaniel's comments. So defensively, they have issues that we probably don't talk about enough.
But the pressure has gotten better. Their sacks are, since they've gotten Chubb, while he's not getting the sacks, the team sacks have gone
Phillips
up.
has played well. Wilkins has played well. But I'm pretty disappointed in that Bradley Chubb trade.
The numbers, the team
disappointed in him, right? He hasn't done anything.
No, he's pressured.
No, he's been pretty good.
He's got home
Yeah.
a couple times.
I just think that like if you're giving up that kind of draft capital to go and get a dominant pass rusher, you should get a dominant.
But dude, wait till that playoff game. That's when we need a big sack from him. A big strip sack and a big moment.
Also, Witty, the thing with pass rushers too, if you have a dominant pass rusher, their counting stats may not always be there either. Like you look at Aaron Donald, he doesn't have the most amazing stats, but he's such a gravitational pull to the offensive line. Maybe Bradley Chubb is having effects to other guys on the defensive line that are helping them.
I watch them and I don't see an appreciable increase in pressure. Like I still see them giving up a lot of quick throws, a lot of throws down the field, leaving their corners exposed when by the end of that game, they didn't have a second safety. with Eric Rowe out, and they lost their backup.
But are
in the
you
game as
panic
well.
or are you calm?
Panic or calm?
He said calm, but
He's
then
calm.
the reason
Yeah,
why
he's
he's
so
so
panicked.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
they've lost
Nice
3 in a
Seems like
row.
a mess.
They've
I
lost
mean-
3 in a row to good teams. They lost away at the Jets and home to the Vikings, and then the Bengals game with the Tua situation that happened. They've lost to a lot of good teams, and so
Are you panic or are
panic.
you
He
said
calm?
calm.
He said calm.
One
Front
word.
end.
I mean, just one word.
I
at
think
this point, right?
I'm very pleased with how they played
That's
in
not-
Buffalo.
You
You're
didn't
not
answer
playing
the
this
question.
game.
Didn't
Just
answer his
play the
question.
game,
It's
man.
not pleased or not
See,
pleased.
making
I
it about
mean-
himself again.
Yeah.
I'm calm.
Wow.
Okay, good.
Okay, there you go.
You seem it.
I'm panic.
Wow.
I'm panic.
Yeah.
Even wrote it down.
Yeah,
You're
well,
soft.
that's how they did it.
Just said it out loud.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
panic only because someone has to be a devil's advocate on this hour and be the bad guy.
That
with
chair,
being out.
man.
I wouldn't
It's a
say
chair.
I'm calm.
It's a chair.
I
I'm
think
just going to
Greg's
point
with
out
you.
you're,
I think
you're
Greg's
0-3
with you.
in your last
Not telling
three.
you how to think.
I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just asking you if you'd like to.
Guys, I have an idea.
I think I'm calm.
Oh, okay, Roy's calm.
You think you're calm?
Yeah, I think so.
You're not sure yet, though.
No, not sure.
Okay.
Wait,
Let
ask
us
me
know.
again next week.
Keep us posted.
Yeah.
I won't.
I'll tell you after 3 more games whether I'm calm or panicked.
Yeah, I'll wait till the playoffs.
I feel like Stugotz,
Yes.
follow me on this.
Okay.
Should the Dolphins make it to a playoff game in Buffalo, right? I feel like it would be best if we used company money to all travel to Buffalo.
Yep.
What?
No, we had this idea already, and you flaked out on it.
You're not listening to the
That
idea.
was then,
I
this
haven't
is now.
finished it. I did
Yeah.
not flake out on it.
Yes, you did.
Bob told me we couldn't stay at his house.
We had the RVs.
Listen,
I
guys.
had rented the RV. It's still sitting
I
in
don't
my
know if you've
apartment
noticed, we
complex.
kind of are pinching pennies around here, so we were going to take 700 people up there. So this is my idea.
Wait, you have an RV parked at your house?
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to go to Buffalo?
Me and Billy were supposed to go, and then he stopped answering my phone calls.
Wait, you were going to drive up to Buffalo?
That's right,
What?
in the RV.
Lies about everything.
Yeah.
Nothing he says is true. Are you even wearing your boot anymore? Or?
No, I
Oh, wow,
graduated from the boot.
miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
The
It's not
12-week
miraculous.
recovery. Now you're in sneakers.
Show boot.
As soon as Moss ended, so did the attention you needed, and you're back in
That's
sneakers.
not true because
He's
I wore
playing
the.
pickup basketball this weekend.
That's I wish.
So this is what I'm thinking. We're Doll fans around here, right? Wouldn't
All
you
of
say?
us.
And we need to do something for this team. I say we all go to Buffalo. We get primo seats, right? We hope for a snowstorm. We wear Bills gear, and we just pelt the Dolphins with snowballs the entire game.
I like this
Just
idea.
keep throwing snowballs at them over and over, and
So
keep
we get
getting
15-yard penalties? I
on the
love it.
Bills
I'm in.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Just keep throwing snowballs every time they make an announcement. Throw more snowballs. We should probably split up because it'll be easy to kind of figure out that we're all together.
Right.
So we'll have to sit 2 together around the stadium. So I'm just getting emotional.
You're choked
Yeah.
up. That's a good idea. and you
we
should
take-
be choked up. I think you have to wear like old school Buffalo Bills
Yeah,
jerseys,
yeah.
like Joe Cribs.
Yeah,
you know?
If we're all together,
Bruce
they
Smith
could
over here.
easily collect us all and kick us all out of the building.
Yeah.
By my math, we need about 8 15-yard penalties. So we need a crew of 8 stationed all over Highmark Stadium, and then we're just individually rogue agents that are throwing one snowball that pelts a right guard or something like that.
No, you know what we
That's
should
a
do?
chooch, by the way. To
If
get
we're-
the right guard
if we're
from
gonna
the stands.
if we're gonna play this right, we need to wait for the Dolphins to be close to the sidelines, obviously, like red zone, right? And you know that the fans are going to be doing it already. So we wait until after the announcement is made, and that's when we take action. That's when we start throwing.
I like this.
Yeah.
Get them from the inside.
Steve Tasker. Tisker Tasker. I mean,
Yes.
how about that? And JP Lossman. You wear a JP Lossman jersey in Buffalo, they think you're a Bills fan.
All right, I'm going on eBay right now.
Also,
Yes.
they look at you funny.
Peerless
Look at that guy
Price.
wearing a Losman jersey.
We moved on. We have
Peerless
Josh
Price.
Allen now.
Eric Molds.
Molds is a good
Yeah,
I like it.
He's a good receiver.
Yeah.
Trent Edwards.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Which one?
Too new.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Which Ryan Fitzpatrick jersey?
The Bills one, of
All
course.
right.
Ooh,
Right.
CJ Spiller.
That's a good one. Shane Conlon is also a good
Yeah,
one.
go classic. Jim
Yeah.
Kelly's 12. Ain't nothing better.
A Willis McGahee jersey, perhaps.
Roscoe Parrish.
Oh my God.
They had some players.
But I almost texted Juju because he was sitting in the front
Good.
row of the game, like, throw a snowball, man. Like now.
He's
Now's
a Bills
the time.
fan, it seems.
Yeah, no, I was not pleased with that. I was not pleased with him showing up to
Really?
Buffalo wearing.
He's not from Miami. He does not owe you guys
I
anything.
know, but
Wow, guys. O.J. Simpson jersey.
Wow.
They still have the O.J. Simpson name retired there, and it's a little odd.
Yeah, cringeworthy.
Because they have they have like a legitimate bit of history in the 90s that they could just lean on.
Yeah.
They can get rid of the OJ thing and just really showcase those 4 straight Super Bowls they got to.
It's just what is the threshold
them.
one has to cross to have their name on their number unretired?
Well, I mean, he was technically found innocent.
But not in the civil case. I feel like that's a bad PR hit when you're found guilty in a civil suit of murder.
You should pull the jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they should probably like. I was thinking about this. So the Dallas Mavericks tried this with the national anthem, but they just didn't do it, and nobody noticed for 2 months, and then somebody noticed and like, oh shit, people found out. If they just took down O.J. Simpson's number from Ralph Wilson Stadium,
Witty.
would anybody? Do you think people would notice?
Witty, you know what this is? Your
Yep.
new lane. Yeah.
Oh
No, they should take off O.J. Simpson. They should take off his number. It's ridiculous that he's up there. Come on, Bills. Be decent humans.
Hard cam, and I love that you picked your nose in the middle of your take.
Yeah, that's great.
Just hammering the point home.
Who would play that take back for anybody?
I love me just starting to give opinions, and then you just thunder in and take them off me.
They should leave New
that's
York.
great.
They're
They
not
should-
really a New York team.
No, they're basically
He
Canada.
did that already.
Go to Toronto.
Yeah. Didn't they do that one year?
They did have a
they played-
Toronto game.
Yeah, they played for a couple of years, right?
Should be
Yeah.
permanent.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they played indoors. But I mean, like they had the chance to play at Toronto FC's BMO Field. They decided not to.
Not back then.
Oh,
No, BMO wasn't around.
I think it was, but it was smaller.
Way smaller.
Yeah.
Or Skydome. MLS guys. Big MLS guys. You all will be big MLS guys
I
in a
was
couple
just
months.
about to say, how
Come July, you guys know exactly what we're talking about.
Big guys.
Season ticket holder.
Roy's gonna be wearing pink every day.
No,
Oh, I can't wait.
no. I can.
Miami's Ken Palm 47, huh?
Yeah, FAU is Ken Palm 41.
FAU's not bad. FAU's pretty good. Didn't they beat Florida? Florida's not great, but
What are you coming right back, or are you staying up there?
Come right back. Apparently, there's gonna be a snowstorm starting on Fridays.
Yeah, bad.
Going to GTFO.
It's gonna be 55 degrees here on Sunday.
I know.
I can't wait.
Going to the Dolphins game on Sunday, and I was like, my dad's like, "Oh, these tickets are in the sun." I'm like, "That's great." Any kind of exposure to the sun is good on Sunday.
you should send a video. I don't know what's so bad about it.
I was trying to think up like clever ways that I could respond, but I was like, then I just want to live in my life.
You don't need to respond. People are responding to you.
St. John's is Ken Palm number 49. They're 11-1. St. John's is a
Why are you
damn
so
good
worried
team.
about this shit, man?
well because I'm getting into college basketball.
No, I
right
know
now.
you are, but it's
And
St.
gambling
John.
again.
You're worried about St. John's Ken Palm fucking ranking.
Gambling again.
I've been worried about St. John's since Mike Jarvis.
St.
was
John's
coach.
hasn't
Oh,
been
Mike
relevant
Jarvis,
since
dude.
fucking Lou Carnesecca.
No,
man.
they were relevant with Jarvis.
Not really.
Eric Barkley.
Is
Ron
Chris Mullins-
Artest.
is
You're
Chris
right. They
Mullins
made-
still the
I think
coach
they
of,
made-
St. John's.
I don't think so.
No, I think he left a couple of years ago.
That was a great St. John's team. Miami and St. John's had some battles.
They went to the Elite Eight, I think.
I miss the old Big East. Primarily for football.
No, but your old Big East is like the early '90s, like your
mid-90s.
mid '90s.
Like Jim Drunkenmiller.
The old Big East is the '80s.
Yeah,
if
I
you're talking
understand.
college basketball,
Yeah.
it's
Well, see, when I wax poetic about Miami's glory days in football, they've actually had, you could argue, more glory days in the ACC in basketball. The ACC move has worked out for the basketball programs, but
not for the football program.
I'm a little too young to remember Miami's football independence. And when I watch documentaries back like the U, I get jealous because San Diego State's good. They play San Diego State. They play BYU. They play Oklahoma. I do miss that. But I grew up with the heyday of the Big East, mid-90s, where Syracuse and West Virginia were massive rivals for Miami football.
It was so much fun in the '80s where you had Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullen, you had Derek Coleman, you had all these great teams. Seton Hall, PJ Carlissimo went to overtime, lost in a national championship game. Those were some great times. But Mike, can you explain, because signing day, National Signing Day is tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, early signing day.
Can you explain to us and the audience, like, what have the Canes done here in terms of football recruiting? Because I keep reading that they have a top 3 class in the country.
Yeah, I
Do
think
they?
they're. I think the last I saw, they're just behind Texas for number 3.
Right.
But it's decimal points. They have a legitimate shot at a top 3 class. What they're doing is what Mario Cristobal has always done. Everyone wants to rationalize and say that this is NIL. Miami is not winning head-to-head recruiting battles with Florida because of NIL. No matter how much they want to make John Ruiz a bad guy, Miami is not outspending Florida in NIL. Florida has more resources than Miami. What NIL has afforded Miami is a leveling of the playing field to a degree, but Miami is not outspending other prestige programs. Georgia does not have less NIL dollars than Miami. All right. So what's happening right now is the greatest recruiter in college football is being who he's always been. He was like that before NIL, and he's like that right now. It's a huge credit to him, though, that he was able to spin this class out of last season's disaster.
Yeah, finished 5-7, and every day I'm in a group chat with you guys, and you guys are going crazy about recruiting, and I just don't. I can't believe it. It's what he's very good at. I guess I have a couple of questions.
It's the in-game coaching that he's lousy at.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you can always have a shot at his tactics, but look, you guys had your fun last week.
I'd rather have the in-game coach. I'm just saying. I'd rather have
You
less
would?
talent.
I'm not sure
No.
you would.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
last season you would have, because I think if you have Lane Kiffin with the
Right.
talent, I think that's a team that is certainly bowl eligible and probably makes noise inside their conference. Mario's not that type of coach. Mario's a stacking talent. I'm not going to do that whole thing with you. But last week, you guys gave me shit when I told you, flat out, the Miami Hurricanes did not want to go to a bowl game. And you were like, yeah, sure, whatever. You think Billy Napier is loving those 15 extra practices that he got as he's losing head-to-head recruiting battle after head-to-head recruiting battle against Mario Cristobal,
It's just
who
not
is
a
now
thing
spinning
anymore. It's not a thing anymore.
No one gives a shit. If you're not in the college football playoff, why do I want 15 additional practices with 30 kids?
Well, and also, right, exactly. Considering the turnover now in rosters, right? Like the dynamic has changed. So I guess let me ask you a question, Mike. How important is getting your freshman recruiting class right in 2023 when the transfer portal is such a thing, when rosters turn over to such a degree? Right now, Miami is, by the 24/7 Sports composite rankings, 3rd, just ahead of Texas.
Yeah.
They're only behind Alabama and Georgia, which is remarkable.
We just got the UCF transfer overnight.
Does that count in the? That doesn't count in the.
There's some composite rankings that take into account the portal too. That's a play to get his brother, who's a top corner on Miami's board too, and I feel pretty good about what Miami is doing there. I to answer your question, no, it's not huge for most programs to get. Traditionally, you want to get that freshman recruiting class right, but the portal has changed things. We've seen USC, we've seen Michigan State last year, not so much this year, proved to maybe be a little bit of fool's gold with Mel Tucker. For Mario Cristobal, though, it is important because he is purging this roster of guys that don't fit the type of locker room he wants to have, the type of style he wants to play. And I hear every single shot. I'm not defending it. I'm just here to tell you, matter-of-factly, that's what he needs, he believes, to be successful. And he's going about it the right way as he sees fit. He's getting those guys. He's getting serial winners. He's getting intense locker room, do anything to win at all costs type guys. Guys like Ruben Bain. If you see his target list, they're pretty high-character guys right now. So he is getting a certain mold of player, and he thinks that that'll institute the culture change he's trying to initiate to be successful as he sees it. I'm not here to tell you that it's a right or wrong way. I'm just telling you he's doing everything in his power to go about it a successful way.
And then the overall state of play for me is really interesting in this area as well. I saw a tweet this morning from the head coach at UTSA basically saying, who do I report to, like, what authority do I report other coaches just calling my program and trying to take my players from me? And like, it is just an overall Wild West.
It's crazy tampering. And
Right.
someone asked me yesterday, is Miami tampering a lot with people in the... I would say Miami is not tampering any more than other programs tamper with Miami's kids. You had players on this roster last year that didn't portal out that were actually actively recruiting against Miami. Those players are no longer here right now. It is people tamper like crazy. I'm not going to tell you Miami tampers. I'm going to tell you that several other programs are tampering like crazy. It's a little suspicious when players leave immediately and go to rivals, but that has always existed in college football. You're just seeing it more because you don't have the punitive measure of having to sit out a year. You have that one-time get-out-of-jail-free card.
I was thinking about this because the NCAA has a new president. It's the outgoing governor of Massachusetts. Is there, like, what is the regulation that is going to come for this sport at some point?
NCAA is not going to exist in 10 years.
Right. Yeah. It's
not for football. It will organize the other athletic competitions.
But it won't be the governing body. I truly believe in my heart of hearts the CFP is going to run big-time college football, and I think what'll fast-track that, I think we're headed there, but I think what'll fast-track that is this new governing body will try to make an example out of someone, one big program. And the second they do that, everybody will jump ship. Like, you can't exert your force now. Everybody is doing this. It is so transparent. You have people talking about NIL deals before people commit to schools. I think they're going to try to make an example out of somebody, and I would caution them not to if they want to keep this money train going as long as humanly possible.
The NCAA has no power, right? They have no power left.
I mean, they've been
do it in
around.
other sports.
They've been
In
around.
name
Miami
only.
still adheres to compliance. I mean, the NCAA, Katie Meyer was suspended for 3 games. The NCAA still asks questions. The NCAA was reported spoke to John Ruiz. They're still kicking the tires on the situation, but now everybody knows where the bodies are buried.
Right.
And it's not the honor amongst thieves thing that happened several years ago. Because if they come after Texas A&M, or if they come after Miami, or if they come after Georgia, people are going to start singing. It's a totally different deal now. More people are involved in these collectives. It's not airtight anymore.
Right.
Everybody knows the dirty laundry at this point.
Well,
When you say singing, you have to say sing like a canary.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it.
Yeah,
Am I wrong,
yeah.
Greg?
No,
yeah,
you have to say
Not
sing
just
like
singing.
a canary,
Yeah,
right? But you saw that thing between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban,
Yeah.
right, where somebody's accusing him and he's going back, and
where Nick Saban was careful to mention Miami, but Miami's basketball program,
Right.
not their football program.
and that whole thing disappeared, though. That disappeared.
Well, because Nick Saban apologized. Nick Saban walked it back because it was what I saw was somebody scared is too harsh because Alabama's always going to be well positioned, but his advantages are diminishing because of NIL, because of a leveling of a playing field, because the SEC and the NCAA, which the NCAA would look the other way when it came to the SEC. The SEC would help make the NCAA so much money. The advantages that he had in being able to operate in the shadows aren't what they were. And I think you saw someone publicly coming to grips with that he has to invent new ways. Alabama's going to be fine. If you look at the post-NIL good programs that recruit well, a lot of them are the same ones that recruited well and did well prior to that, and when we were still operating in the shadowy realm. I'd argue it's a little bit more shadowy right now, but I just thought that was Nick Saban publicly reckoning with a changing tide.
Right. But the powerless NCAA did nothing with that.
No.
They did nothing with it. They didn't investigate it.
I mean, look at
Nothing came of it.
Lane Kiffin's Twitter account. I think what people refer to casually now in recruiting circles and are open about on Twitter would be scandalous 5 years ago.
Right.
There's so many people telling on themselves, not leaving super subtle hints on social media about what's going on right now. And the NCAA has not acted. And I think they'd be foolish to do so because there's the nuclear option. If they come after one, then I think they shoot themselves in the foot. And they basically give up a cash cow. Why not make millions upon millions of dollars for 4 to 5 more years and just riding this thing out? I would say it's getting to be a little untenable, and I would like just more transparency. And it's not just because their parents stealing money from NIL boosters.
But Mike, you
They
seem
make
to
for
be
bad
doing
martyrs.
fine. Like the Canes seem to be doing fine the way it is.
Yeah.
Like you want transparency, but the
I want
Canes are doing just fine without
I want
it.
transparency.
I mean,
No, I think
they have the best recruiting class in the country.
no, they don't have the best recruiting
best.
class
A lot
in
of
the
people
country.
are saying that.
Third best.
But I would say that transparency. A lot of people were hitting like, oh, some recruits stole Mike's money. I don't give to athletes that I haven't given to an NIL collective. I give to the administration. I haven't been burned. Do I know people that have been burned at this program and other programs? Yes. But transparency doesn't just protect NIL boosters. They protect the kids. Because what you're happening at some of these other places that aren't as buttoned up, it's a two-way street. NIL boosters aren't coming through with the money that they promised. And if you have something above board that is transparent, then these kids get their money too. I think it still being shadowy when we all know what's going on is ultimately the problem here. I would just want more transparency so the kids can get their money and there can be some protections, as we right now have something a little lawless where you can just jump. Look at what's happening with Jackson State. It's understandable, but every single big recruit that Deion Sanders brought there portaled over the last 2 days.
As they should.
But the thing is, they had free agency when they went to Jackson State, and they're having free agency within a year. And I'm totally with that.
Everyone's done a series of rolling 1-year contracts with colleges.
I'm with that.
Every single player.
Every single player.
Right.
As it should be.
But we're getting to an unsustainable point.
I agree with Mike. That's a level of lawlessness that, like, no industry works like this.
It's going to set a new high watermark every week.
No industry works like where the rules are literally being made up as we go along, and it's just, all right, this is
Twitter.
There's that. But there's like the state of play is just subject to whims of athletic administrations, government officials. Like, this is such an industry that it should just be a regulated industry where football players get contracts to play for the University of Miami or the University of Alabama. Like, why? This system is
But
so
Witty,
unnecessarily convoluted.
They're constantly, these universities, looking for the next best thing. So in the case of Texas, they have Ewers, who's a very good quarterback, big-time recruit, and now they have Arch Manning. Why should Ewers not have the ability? He went to Texas to play quarterback for Texas. He wants to be the Texas quarterback. They're saying, no, you'll only get to do that for a year before we bring in someone that we think is better and more valuable than you.
Like
so why can't he leave?
But
now he can leave.
No, right. Now he can leave, but like...
But he should be able to.
But also...
He left Ohio State.
Any kid should have that ability.
I think Texas should sign Quentin Ewers to a 3-year, $1.9 million deal or whatever they think he's worth, and they have to honor the contract. Both sides have to honor the contract. And he is just like a free agent, like any NFL player is a free agent. That's very easy to do.
Right. There is a quarterback right now that was committed at one place, then committed to another place, then committed to another place, and agreed to a multi-year NIL deal on the front end. Something that would outpace a second-round draft pick. Something that would be comparable to a first-round draft pick.
Are you allowed to say
in the
their
NFL.
name? Or?
No, I'm not going to say their name.
Okay.
I'm not going to say their name. And this quarterback that is flip-flopped all these different times, that has collected money from NIL, because this quarterback plays in a state where you can get NIL deals to high schoolers. That quarterback, if you see a certain fan base, has fans freaking out right now because they may flip-flop for a fourth time before ever putting on a college uniform. It is something that is unsustainable.
Yes.
And he agreed to a multi-year deal. He agreed to a multi-year deal at multiple places, and there's nothing above board. There's nothing that holds him. Sometimes these things can even be governed by shame if there was transparency. If it were known that this person and his handlers have collected at all these different stops, maybe that behavior would be less shady and more thorough and more straightforward. And it's just not. And there's nothing stopping it. And people are listening to me right now saying, Mike, so what? Let the players get whatever they want. I hear you.
I'm one of them.
I'm also trying to protect the players, though, because it works both ways. These players can get gypped. Many have. Many that are entering the portal are entering the portal because a booster shafted them on what they discussed.
Because it's lawless, because there is no regulation of this thing. But if you're saying that if the NCAA tried to regulate this thing, they would immediately get blown out of the power structure.
I think so.
And then the major colleges would create their own power structure. Mm-hmm. Would they want to regulate themselves and turn this into industry? Because ultimately, like, the general problem is that this is a business, and now it's out in the open. We're in full business mode now, But the colleges are still not
Witty.
the colleges are still not the ones responsible for the business.
No.
And they should be.
The injustice
should
still
be.
exists.
It continues. The players make money. They have rolling one-year contracts. It is less unjust. But these entities make such an amount of money that they can just give contracts to football players. And that is what they should do.
It's always been a business that benefited the universities, the NCAA. It benefited everyone but the kids. And you know what? I don't care anymore. Like, muck it up as much as possible.
But Mike
And if a
Mike
kid-
is
no,
telling
no,
you that it's
I
not always great for the kid.
I understand. Let the kid learn on the fly, okay? Let him
He's 18.
Let him go to
Like,
four
who has
schools
that
and take
level
as
of
much
business
shit as he
sense?
wants. Who cares? But what do you guys care?
I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping the kid from doing that. I don't think transparency.
You want it regulated so someone doesn't come steal the Canes quarterback recruit? Get the hell out of
I
here.
want it regulated because it's an industry, and all industries are regulated.
I can understand why you have that take, and a part of me would concede. Yeah, I don't think it's great when I think there's a commit when you think you have an NIL deal and someone walks away from an NIL deal when sometimes there's been paperwork that's been filed and you go through compliance. People can have change of hearts. That's not the only thing that I'm getting at. I'm not taking any money away from kids by asking for transparency. If you're anti-transparency, then maybe you might be a little nefarious. The injustice that I really want to correct is the entity that stands to make the most money still in this setup is not fronting any of the cash, really. They're not paying for the labor. They're not paying for the labor that is bringing in the huge revenue.
The Big
and I
Ten-
want them to have their skin in the game.
The Big Ten is going to make $1 billion a year off their new TV deal, and they have to give exactly zero of it to their players.
No, the Big Ten
Like,
did not
that's-
have to invest in a 5-star quarterback that flipped his commitment from Oregon to UCLA yesterday. They didn't do it.
Some guy who owns a car dealership in Maryland
just
does.
sit back and
So
they
he's
just
a
sit back and
sucker.
laugh.
Why do
and
we care about him? I mean,
just sit back and laugh. And
It's just a dumb system. It's a dumb
Stupid.
system, and even like
it's
even
been
as
a dumb system forever.
Correct.
Now it's a
Right.
dumb system
But
that at
that's-
least benefits the kids.
I completely
Kids were
agree.
benefiting
But
before,
that
man.
doesn't mean.
Oh, well, not all of them.
But that
not,
doesn't.
not to the same degree.
That doesn't mean though that like somebody shouldn't get in a room and say, "Hey, college football, how should we do this?"
Mm-hmm.
Because the rolling fixes make absolutely no sense. And honestly, as a sporting spectacle, it makes no sense. I have no idea once the college football playoff begins. What exactly has what does Georgia achieve when they win the national championship? They've managed to assemble the best team out of NIL, out of recruiting, out of all these things. Like, it doesn't actually measure anything. It just is who can hoover up the most talent. And I think as a sporting competition, it makes less and less sense to me that this thing is popular, that this thing has any kind of traction in a sporting sense, because what are we measuring? What are we doing with this sport?
College football is a lot like baseball, and the cheaters will always find a way to skirt around rules, and you're always going to have under the table payments. I don't have a fix. All I'm suggesting is a little bit more transparency, so you can
I'm
protect.
suggesting more chaos. I mean,
But I don't think it's bad to have more transparency for you to actually see what's going on. Right now, you have John Ruiz being public enemy number one from a Florida fan base that is convinced that kids are leaving because John Ruiz is paying them millions upon millions of dollars, and that's why they're losing head-to-head battles. Florida has more NIL resources than Miami. John Ruiz was surprised to learn Cormani McLean was coming here to Miami. Like, Mario is recruiting his ass off. It is not always NIL. And I think if you had a transparent way to show that to fan bases, some of the rhetoric and some of the discourse online right now that is sickening could also ease up too. I'm just asking for us to know what exactly is going on and leave room for more shady shit and all the stuff that people like about college football that's going to exist anyways. But have mutual protections for the people actually fronting the money for the labor, which is not the NCAA, but mainly for the kids that are having boosters, some people that aren't legacy boosters that are new to the game, jerk them around and maybe pull the rug out from under them and not actually come through on some of these deals.
Witty, I want to ask you about your Ewers example. So he signs a 3-year, $1.9 million contract. It's not enough to keep him at Texas. So what happens if he decides to leave? Are they on the hook for
But
1.9? Is the
Stugotz,
contract broken and he gets a contract somewhere else?
If I may,
How does
you're citing a quarterback that left Ohio State and took advantage already of what you're asking.
I'm willing to follow Whittingham and you down this path, but I'm just wondering how that would look.
I'm saying
how
both
it would
sides
work.
have to honor the contract. Like, if you sign a contract,
But what if he leaves?
he couldn't. He's contractually obligated to play for the University of Texas.
Yeah, but did it ever dawn on you the kid wants to play football? Like the
Yeah.
$1.9 million.
Well, he signed a contract.
But I would never sign that contract. Like he wants to play football and get to the NFL.
You don't think college kids would sign a multi-year contract?
No, I
College
think
kids are, and they're not honoring it right now. And I'm sorry, it's not a bad take to say people should honor contracts that they agreed to.
No.
this is not something unfair. We have contracts that we honor.
I think a better idea is sign that contract. That's fine. So the kid knows he has $1.9 million, but he might want to play football. And if he knows Arch Manning is coming, he's never going to play football. He should have the ability to break that contract and go play somewhere
Mutually.
else. I don't like the idea of locking these kids in at $1.9 million over 3 years. I don't like that idea.
What you're saying is very popular, but if you really peel back the layers, I think that one of the parties should be able to break their contract at any time. And that doesn't exist. That only exists with employers. I'm saying have it mutual. And if an employer does that, they still have to come through in many instances if you have a contract where you get financially protected. You have a golden parachute on your way out.
It's like any contract. I'm asking for certain. I'm willing to follow you guys down a path where it's more regulated, but there has to be stipulations that help the kids get what they want.
But there are.
No, not if you sign a 3-year, $1.9 million contract and can't break the contract.
You're in college.
He wants to play football.
Unless you're Bo Nix, you're in college for 4 years. And if you're a highly touted recruit, your plan is, I'm going to be in college for 3 years. You already have a one-time, I can transfer because I made a mistake move at any point.
Right, but
this quarterback has already exercised.
You're right.
it.
I don't want Bo Nix locked into a 3-year, $1.9 million contract with Auburn that prevents him from being able to leave Auburn and go to Oregon because he feels like that's going to help his career. You know,
but he has the ability to leave. But he has the ability to leave. He exercised it.
Not under that. Under Chris's scenario where you're signing 3-year deals.
Don't sign a 3-year deal.
Well,
you
want regulation.
Don't sign a 3-year deal though.
Okay,
it's not the only thing that's available to you. If you're a 5-star recruit, you can say I'm only signing a 1-year deal, and then you have more transparency. And everybody knows, okay, we have Travis Hunter, but we have Travis Hunter for 1 year. I'm just saying, transparency helps these things. If someone wants to sign a 3-year deal, God bless him.
So you're saying with viewers, it's like, okay, I know Arch Manning's coming, so I'm not going to take your 3-year deal, but I'll take a 1-year deal.
You're playing at Texas.
I'll take a 1-year deal.
There isn't. You have to get.
There's no way Texas is doing it.
If you're an elite program, you have to get an elite quarterback every year. Every year. He doesn't go to Texas thinking that they're never going to sign another 5-star quarterback. He's afraid of Arch Manning. He's got years on him. I'm saying it's
but he's got a name on him, right? I mean,
but
and a cannon.
He left Ohio State and he went to Texas. That's a risk that you're going to run. They know the deal there.
Right.
So, Greg Cote, we have not had the chance to get your thoughts on the World Cup final. This is a very off the beaten path storyline of it. But have you guys seen the videos of what Salt Bae did in the post celebrations?
Trying to get a picture with Messi?
I mean, right. Well, no, not even trying to get a picture with Messi, although that was bad enough, and Messi clearly wanted no part of him.
Watching him get rejected made me feel good.
Oh, it felt great. But also, like, he's trying to, get a picture with just him and the freaking World Cup trophy. So he literally yanks it away from Lisandro Martinez, plays for Manchester United, and is posing with the World Cup trophy and is trying to get pictures, as many pictures as possible, with the World Cup. Like, that should be touched by 26 people. And the coaches, I guess. But, this guy, this celebrity, who all he does is chase social media clout by putting salt on steaks, is yanking the World Cup away from the players who actually won it. I was horrified by this video.
He wastes a lot of salt, too.
Stugotz is strong in him. I don't blame him.
Where is the line on that? He says it's got to be, if I'm cousins with Messi, I'm getting a picture with that trophy.
Your family.
You think so?
I mean, you think only the people can, if I have my moment with the trophy,
what are you doing with the World Cup?
Cousin, you're out.
Have you seen what they do with the Stanley Cup? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, they're different trophies.
Yeah, but they share it
also
with
not-
It's also
financial
not on the
family.
pitch. Not on the pitch.
It's not a cup. There's only so many things that you can do with this one. It's a bad trophy when you consider the
It's a
stakes.
small trophy.
It's a
the
small
World
trophy,
Cup.
but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like when Salt Bae was trying to yank it away from Lisandro Martinez, I'm like, that's the World Cup. Like it's made of gold. Look at the thing like that.
Is it 25 pounds of gold?
I hold it in such esteem that it's like Salt Bae, get away from that thing. That's not yours. Like,
Damn it, you did it again.
Herman Montiel's
Hard
cousin.
cam.
That's not yours.
Hard cam.
Oh, sorry. That's Nahuel Molina's brother's trophy, not yours. Salt Bae, please. The Hall of Famer.
You can't laugh through
first
it.
class, first ballot. Look at me, Louie. World class. Look at me, Louie.
Damn, you're good.
Enough.
I want
Chris,
to be Kuman Bay.
Cumin Bay.
I like it.
You making a chili?
Texturally, it's not gonna. It's just gonna go down your wrist and like stain your forearm.
It is a weird texture.
What
Yeah.
would have been the funniest one? Paprika Bay?
Paprika Bay, yeah.
We're not getting Greg's thoughts, though.
Turmeric Bay.
Old Bay seasoning. Old
Old
Bay.
Bay.
I'm Old Bay.
I like it.
Yes.
Baby.
Old Bay.
Yes. Baby. Well, listen, I'm not to drop a name. I happened to be talking to Ray Hudson yesterday.
Look at me, Louie.
Okay. Look at me, Louie. All right. I deserve that. I deserve
I'm
that.
jealous. I want to
Yeah.
hear from Ray.
Okay. Ray Hudson is a huge.
Did he say magisterial?
Yes.
Or how many
Always.
times did he go? Oh,
You work with him.
I know, but I mean, I didn't get to call him. I didn't get to call him. Like he genuinely loves Lionel Messi
He
to
does.
such a degree.
He does.
That
goodness.
like to be an Englishman.
Yeah.
And root for Argentina.
It's amazing.
Is staggering.
Okay.
And so he that's like his favorite national team. He likes Argentina more than he likes England.
Right. He was watching the game alone in his house with his cats because when it's a match that big, he has to be alone. Okay. So
I like that.
after Argentina scores the second goal to go up 2-0, Ray Hudson's Apple Watch goes off and asks him if he'd just had a car accident. Because that's how much he was jumping up and down and celebrating that second goal, which a 2-0 lead in soccer is like huge. Then the World Cup
Especially
final
the play,
got
like Ray
yeah.
Hudson, who loves a beautiful game.
Exa-
That
oh, my
second
God.
goal was,
It
as you
was-
would say, magisterial.
It was textbook. It was just 3-4 passes in a row that were absolute textbook. But after 2-0, that's when the World Cup final got good. Christopher and I were watching the final together. At that point, when it was 2-0, I'm like, I hate to say it, but this is going to go down as a pretty boring World Cup. And the reason I said that was that France at that time was doing very little. Mbappe was as invisible as a guy of that stature can be.
Yep.
Okay? But when France scored, and then they scored again, Christopher and I stood the rest of the match. We could not sit down. And so what caused Ray Hudson to jump up and down as if it had been in an auto accident, that was the beginning. Then the World Cup final got good. It's not recency bias to say that was an epic, one for the ages World Cup final. It was mesmerizing, and what a great advertisement for international football. What a repudiation of anybody who can't get international soccer and is still going, it's boring, they don't score enough goals. That's on you. That's not on the sport.
I will tell you this: it's all downhill from here. And the reason I say that, okay, just follow me down this path.
Okay.
Is we saw the greatest game, the greatest player, legacy game, finally complete his legacy. He'll go down as the greatest soccer player of all
a great
time.
take.
Okay? But with horse racing, I said the second a horse wins the Triple Crown, horse racing is done. And a horse won a Triple Crown a few years ago, and no one pays attention. Because the trick with horse racing was Derby winner, you'll follow it. If they win the next one, the Preakness, if they win that, you'll follow them to the Belmont Stakes. If they don't win it, you're not watching the Belmont Stakes, okay? We have now seen, the Fringe fan, I'm not talking about Mike and Chris, we have now seen the greatest soccer game probably of all time. And it took a confluence of events, Messi versus that team and that player, okay? All the stakes attached to it. And you saw something you rarely see. A team up 2-0, come back 2-2. They did it quickly, went to overtime, went to PKs. It was amazing, breathtaking. It will never be that good again. It's all downhill. Like, it was a great moment. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. One of the great sporting events I've ever seen. I don't know what it does for soccer, because we'll never see soccer as good as we saw it on Sunday ever again.
It's hard to
Ever.
argue.
Okay, here's the thing. And I would posit this. 3 generations ago, when Brazil is winning back-to-back World Cups and Pelé is Pelé, somebody back then was saying the same thing. Soccer's never going to be this good again. 3 generations later, it's Messi.
Right.
Okay?
It was Bob Ryan who said it.
I mean,
A generation from now, it's going to be Mbappe in his prime against Brazil in the final. There's always going to be something magnetic to watch.
To me, the thing that is preposterous about that take is that there is a much, 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 much bigger constituency for soccer, football around the world than there is for horse racing in the United States. There are hundreds of millions of people every year around the globe that watch that final, that watch the entire World Cup tournament. Do you know that Stugotz?
As a fringe fan, though, I'm not
But
talking.
there
No,
are
with horse racing,
there are
yes. Hank
so
Goldberg
many
is
more
Hank
not
Goldberg
fringe
was still
fans than fringe fans.
No, time out. Hank Goldberg's still going to the track. Okay, Ed Kaplan still going to the track. Chris Felica will die.
Well, Hank Goldberg is not
Hank
still
Berger is
going
not going
to the track.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After the horse
Not
won the
really.
Triple Crown,
You
he
have
was
him
still
going to Pimlico?
he was still going to Calder on a Wednesday afternoon in betting.
That is
Hank
a
Goldberg.
fine if I've ever
Chris,
heard one.
you will still love
$50.
soccer. I know I'll never see another soccer game as good as the one I saw on Sunday ever again. Rest of my
But, like,
life.
but when
What's the point?
okay,
I'm done with soccer.
But Stugotz, I mean, you were never there to begin with. But Stugotz,
God bless
Yeah.
football.
Like
I mean,
when the Patriots came back from 28-3 in the Super Bowl and beat the Atlanta Falcons, you go
Yeah.
never watching the Super Bowl again?
oh, it's ludicrous. I mean, what are you talking about?
When Ray Allen hit
It's an
that
exciting sport. I
when-
mean,
No, but Witty, nobody had said for those moments, this is hands down the best that this. It's great. Those
Yes.
are great games you're naming, but this one is
That's it. Can't
consensus
get better.
the best, and
Yes.
that's the difference I would say between those arguments.
I have a top 5.
I do
Uh-oh.
too. What's yours?
Top 5 sporting events I've ever seen with title implications in my lifetime.
Mine's top 5 athletes with Christmas names.
Ah, nice.
wow,
I like
well
that.
done.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to alternate?
Yeah, let's alternate.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go first because you have a
Wait,
better
which
list.
one are you doing?
Top 5 title-winning moments or title moments.
Right.
All right, hang on. Let me talk this one out.
games with title implications.
Yeah, top 5 games with title implications I've ever seen in my
Okay.
lifetime.
Okay.
That's a caveat in my lifetime.
And you're doing what, Bill?
Mine is top 5 Christmas names.
I like it.
There's a lot of names off this list.
I
you
wanna-
guys could have your own.
I
yeah.
want to partake.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
I
a
have-
lot more
in
than
your
5.
list.
I have an OLI. I have
Okay.
two. I have 2 in my OLI.
All right.
Equal in stature. We got Red Sox 2004 and Battle Court Season 1 Cessa Cyclones Wall Warriors.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. Good call.
Man, I thought you were going to say Miami Notre Dame 2017.
No title consequences. Therefore, it's out. All right, so I'll
All
go
right,
first.
Mike.
My
I
number
stuck
5.
true to
Billy-
5.
Billy,
Also, Tony has his top 5 for later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Billy, do you have an OLI for your?
No, I stuck true to
Christmas
5.
names?
True
All
to
right,
5.
cool.
By the way, I have 2 top 7s for later as well.
Oh,
What are those?
top 7s.
Top 7s, yeah.
All right.
It is my confidence level in the quarterbacks entering the playoffs if the season ended
In
today.
each conference.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow,
Yes.
very
All
exciting.
right, number 5. Games with title consequences. Heat Spurs Game 6 2013. The Ray
Billy,
Allen shot.
number 5, athlete that connotes Christmas.
Frosty Rucker.
Wow. I was going to go Scott Frost.
Ah,
Mike,
a
title,
list, make a
title
5.
game number 4.
2006 Rose Bowl, Texas USC.
A classic.
It's
Yeah.
been running on the Longhorn Network ever since. Billy, number 4.
Damari Carroll.
Oh, wow. I was going to go Joe Barry Carroll.
Just
Pete
make
Carroll.
a list.
check it twice.
Mike, number 3.
2012 Premier League finish with Man City winning the Premier League title. The final day of the season was just a mad dash to the finish. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Balotelli, Aguero. Billy, number 3.
Tree Rollins.
Oh, nice.
Tree Rollins.
It was on my list.
You sounded so sad. You
He
sound
told me
like
to
a
make a list.
sound like a-
No,
He
sound
told
like
me
a
to make
child that
list.
had
I
their
made a
toy
list.
taken away.
Tree
Okay, it's
Rollins was
okay.
number 2 on my list.
Wow, number 2.
Dad, it was on my list. Mike, number 2.
Argentina, France, Men's World Cup Final 2022.
Billy, number 2.
Nerlens Noel.
All right.
Not on my list.
How is number 2 not Christmas?
Tony actually sent me a Christmas one, but I didn't put it on my list. Yeah.
Mike, number 1.
Christmas.
Number 1, Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, 2008 Wimbledon Final.
Billy, your number 1 name, number 1 athlete that connotes Christmas.
Neftali Felice.
Oh, yes.
Bravo. Very good. Excellent. Well done.
Good list.
You left off Jimmy Clausen.
Cause Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like your...
And Rob Deere.
Jimmy
Well,
Clausen.
do your Kyle Rudolph.
I have one.
Oh, shit.
No, there's one more. There's one more Billy left off.
Darius Slay?
Not many people will remember this, but you could look it up. In the 1960s, the Red Sox had a utility
Big play,
infielder
Slay.
named Al Reindeer.
Really?
Yeah, and
Come on.
I can tell by that
I can
setup.
tell by your charger.
I was telling Witty,
No,
but
no.
as soon as he started speaking, I was like,
I
bad
think he's
joke
right,
coming.
though. No, I think he's
no,
right.
Al Reindeer. And also, I have a list, my 12 rules of Christmas on the next Greg Cote Show podcast that's coming out the day after Christmas.
Spoiler alert, he only has 11.
Well, I mean,
It was the most annoying thing ever.
what is happening right now?
You forgot about Rakeem
We
Christmas.
promoted a top 12
Look
list.
at
It's
him.
a good one, Roy.
Look at how mad
Did I
he is
spoil
at you
too
right
much?
now.
You don't want that said?
No.
Why did you do that?
Dad, it's getting people to listen. Now people are going to listen more.
He's so mad.
His
I've never
posture.
seen him this mad. He should
Posture is
You
really
didn't see him
scary.
you didn't see him at Moss.
He is
Side stage.
so mad
did.
right now.
I did.
He said he's never seen him that mad.
Why did you do that?
Because it's called teasing the episode. He said
It's called ruining the punchline, is what it's called.
We'll bleep it.
Jesus
Let's
Christ,
just take it.
man.
Let's just take it out of the podcast.
I mean, I hope so, but probably not now. God, what a bad thing you just did.
Jesus Christ is a good holiday name.
It is a good.
Yeah.
My executive producer ruining my
Well,
podcast.
he's your son. I mean,
Do you have
makes it all the worse.
We'll bleep it.
Unbelievable.
Do you have maybe and I don't want to kind of continue to drive a wedge between the two of you, Greg. Maybe before the end of the show, you could have like the top 5 things Chris has done to disappoint you.
Oh, yes.
It'd be tough to whittle it down to 5. I swear. And what just happened might be in the top 2. Believe me. And I can't even think
No
of the other
recency
one.
bias there.
Crazy.
I've been a pretty good kid if that's the second worst thing I've ever done to him.
you're right, Chris.
Did he walk in on you boning someone?
Well, that's...
Baby.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe you
he more
described
walked
sex that way.
He walked out.
Boning?
It was in the garage. Is the garage inside or outside?
I just didn't have Billy
I mean, is
using
the door
word
closed?
boning.
The garage is inside. If I'm standing in the garage, I'm inside the house?
Yeah, you're inside the house.
No,
What'd
I'm
you have
outside.
Billy
No,
say?
you say you're in the garage.
It's part of the structure.
Stugotz. Stugotz,
Yeah.
if you're standing in your garage,
We're talking about boning.
are you in the house? Are you in the house or outside of the house?
Is the door open?
The garage door's open.
I'm outside the house.
But if it's closed, you're
I'm inside the
Well,
house.
hold on a second. Is the door from the garage to the house open or closed?
open.
Then now it's a gray area.
Debatable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's part of the house. If somebody steals my refrigerator from my garage, they have burgled me.
Well, if they steal a
burgled.
fridge from outside your house, you've also been burgled.
Yeah,
Have I?
I've been burgled.
That's how I would call 911. Hello, 911. I've been burgled.